Two sides to a story, but they never tell my side. Never been the kind of guy to stay inside the guidelines. I know I'm the bad guy, I don't gotta ask why. If you try to step to me, it'll be the last time. I got dirt on my name, 6 feet in the ground. I got people in my past try bringing me down. Said I'm losing my mind, I don't wanna be found. Grew up in the shadow, but I know they watching me now.
Talk about me, I forget to listen. At least I get the recognition. Whoa. Heavyweight and pull up on you with the repetition. You in the pit, it's not no exhibition. Oh, they big mad, I'm the big boss. Talking big game, take a big loss. Going up, I was apologizing that they didn't solve. I'm the piece that wouldn't fit inside the jigsaw. I got a lot of punchlines and a quick jab. I run it straight through, I don't got a zigzag. I got a heavy heart, it's hard to lift that. From the cradle to the grave, never change, make you dig that.
Wanna kiss me long goodnight with a rose, hoping that the Eiffel falls. Of course, you don't understand the life we chose. Need my silence, my privacy, so I can hear. And even rock stars got feelings that they feel. In reality, this just repeats like a drill. Always,
Welcome to the world, heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment, now is your time. So prove yourself and rise, 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 rise. They will remember.
and they're singing your praises, la la la, screaming your name, la 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 la. One more step, you're immortal now. 'Cause once you play God, they're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right into the sun, like it's the day my kingdom come. Baby, we're oh yeah, we're welcome to the big show. Next on the ladder, here's your name in the rafters. Breathe, moment of silence. That girl walk up and choose violence. And they're singing my praises, la la la, screaming my name, la 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 la. This is why we're immortal now. 'Cause once you play God, they're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right into the sun, like it's the day my kingdom come. Baby, we're yeah, we I'm on my knees, pray for glory. Anyone read this underdog story? I can lose myself again. Once you play God, they're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right into the sun, like it's the day my kingdom come. Once you play God, they're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right into the sun, like it's the day my kingdom come. Baby, we're yeah, we're yeah, we're once you play.
서울, 코리아, 그리고 전 세계 팬 여러분, 이제 결승 달릴 준비 하셔야죠. Are you ready for the finals? One more time. Are you ready? Yes! e스포츠의 종주국이랄 수 있는 대한민국에서 전 세계 최고의 팀들이 모여 바로 이 수완사컵에 자신들의 이름을 새기고 역사의 한 획을 긋기 위해서 무려 6주간 치열한 대결을 펼쳤습니다. 상파울루에서 LA, 베를린에서 상하이까지 전 세계 22개 팀들이 멋진 대결을 펼쳤고 이제 단 2팀만이 남았습니다. 웨이버 게이밍! 그리고 T1! 이 두 팀들은 자신의 가치를 증명했고, 하지만 월드 챔피언의 자리는 단 하나. 오늘 그 자리를 가리는 대결을 시작합니다. 선수를 소개합니다. 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 먼저 웨이브 게이밍의 탑라이너 슈퍼캐리의 대명사, 그리고 이에 맞서는 T1의 탑라이너 국대타 T1의 아시안게임 금메달리스트 더샤이 제우스. 웨이브 게이밍의 정글러, 날카로운 갱킹의 대가, 그에 맞서는 선수는 이번 월즈 폼 정말 미쳤다. 자, 바로 웨이웨이와 오너입니다. 웨이브 게이밍의 바텀 라이너, 압도적 화력을 뽐내는 그저 빛. 이에 맞서는 선수는 월즈가 체질 전어보다 더 가을이 제철인 T1의 하드캐리, 바로 라이트와 구마유시. 자, 이제 서포터를 소개합니다. 월드 챔피언의 기억을 되살리자 2019 월드 우승 서포터, 그리고 이에 맞서는 선수는 정말 소환사컵이 간절합니다. 갓지 그 자체가 되고 싶은 역전괴, 바로 크리스피와 캐리합니다. 끝으로 두 포지션에서 국제적 우승 기록을 세운 전설의 웨이브 게이밍의 미드라이너, 그의 상대는 모든 길은 나를 통해서야만 갈 수 있다, 리빙 레전드 언킬러블 데몬 킹 샤오와 페이커입니다. 자, 이제 이 10명의 선수들은 최후의 결전만을 남겨두고 있습니다. 그리고 소환사 컵까지는 이제 단 한 걸음만 남았을 뿐입니다. Let the finals begin. 2019 LOL 월드 챔피언십 웨이브 게이밍 대 T1의 대망의 결승전을 함께 해주시는 많은 분들의 뜨거운 환호 함성과 함께 시작하겠습니다.
어느덧 가을의 끝이 다가왔습니다. 이무기. 용이 되기 위해 1000년 동안 기다려온 뱀과 용 사이의 동물을 이무기라 부릅니다. 오랜 수련 후 여의주를 얻어야만 비로소 승천한다고 하죠. 어떻게 보면 선수들의 여정을 말하는 것 같습니다.
저는 어렸을 때부터 게임을 워낙 좋아했어서 되게 많은 게임들을 했었는데 리그 오브 레전드가 이제 한국에 출시된다는 소식을 듣고 그때부터 시작했던 것 같습니다.
어렸을 때 사촌 형이 리그 오브 레전드를 해서 같이 해봤던 것 같아요.
선수로 처음 데뷔를 하게 되었을 때 되게 설렜고 기다려왔던 기회가 와가지고 살면서 좀 가장 기뻤던 순간이었던 것 같습니다.
중국에 스카우트 A가 들어왔어요. IJ 갔는데 루키 선수가 있었어요. 근데 제가 좋아하는 선수였어요. 근데 같은 팀을 할 수 있는 기회가 있어서 한번 해보자, 재밌겠다라는 생각으로 한 것 같습니다.
我认为在夺冠以后，就是自己本身就跟其他队伍的选手比起来，可能那个时候自己是没有进步的。
那这次的世界赛，大家对他的一个期望，我相信一定不低。
작년 월드 경기가 끝났을 때 헤드셋을 벗은 순간부터는 뭔가 온몸이 통제가 안 되더라고요. 이제 이런 좋은 기회도 놓친 내가 다음에 이런 기회를 또 잡고 우승을 할 수 있을까라는 생각이 많이 들었던 것 같아서 그게 많이 분하고 힘들었던 것 같습니다.
每一场比赛失利后的感受，更多还是自己很多方面没有做好吧。可能这个时候会想着下一场比赛会做好，但下一场比赛还是会有做不好的时候。这个时间点可能就会质疑自己。
아무리 힘들어도 그들은 포기하지 않았습니다. 꿈이 있기 때문이죠.
10년의 기간, 처음 롤을 시작했을 땐 미래에 대해 생각하기엔 너무 어렸던 것 같습니다.
그들의 오랜 노력에 끝자락이 보입니다. T1 대 웨이보.
凛冬将至，是时候捧起全球总决赛奖杯了。
첫 번째 우승은 승리가 어떤 의미인지 제대로 이해할 만큼 성숙하지 못했던 것 같습니다. 두 번째 우승은 단 하나도 놓치지 않고 즐기겠습니다.
세 번째 우승은 저 자신을 위한 거였습니다. 네 번째 우승은 우리 팀을 위한 것입니다.
Once you play God, once you play God, they're gonna crumble one by one. Then we go right, right to the day my kingdom come. Baby, we're
단 한 팀만이 영광을 차지할 수 있습니다. 단 한 팀만이 전설이 됩니다.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the caster desk for the World Final 2023. First, I want to say thank you to Caster John for the incredible introduction, as well as MasterCard and everyone behind. What an extraordinary opening ceremony. And I am joined by the glorious Azael and Chronicler to bring you this final, and we are already into Champions Select. Gentlemen, you're not even able to say hello. Let's go through these bands.
Hello, let's get into it. I have got chills all over my entire body after that opening.
I know.
Just incredible, incredible stuff. But this is going to be so exciting. Game 1, Weibo have selected blue side, and we have to see what they can get done with it. T1 absolutely a terror on red side throughout this event.
And one of the big questions coming in was, what is Weibo's plan going to be in game number 1? Seeing that they are the underdogs, we have our answer. 100% Faker's playing a different champion this time around.
This was such a discussion point of would mid lane be that focus? Maokai left available, but you have to know Rel is available for Owner, and he has been stellar on it. There's a lot of options here. Bot lane focus could be big as well, and they're going to do it right away.
And this is the thing, the Kalista has been such incredible priority. It was something actually used against T1 in the JDG series, and I think Renata Glask is the most important champion for this series as a whole. Crisp, incredible on the champion. Carry, of course, debuting it in their very first game in the Swiss stage at Worlds. So this is very, very important, especially to see what the rest of Weibo's plan is.
And not only does it deny Crisp, we've also seen Carrier himself be extremely successful on this. Carrier Renata, Renata, Kalista rather, incredibly hard to deal with. It will be the Shy going back to the Aatrox, which has been the main blind pick, but Zeus immediately in game 1 pulls out his Yone. Also Xiao, who will be playing the Jace, meaning we get that Maokai Jace combo that has terrorized the Rift all year.
Yeah, this is going to be incredibly exciting. Getting the Yone here, game 1 in the finals. T1 getting spicy already.
And now is it actually the Yone for Zeus? That's the question.
Faker.
Because Faker has played, I believe he celebrated his 70th unique champion this year. People have been talking about Faker's champion pool. It's a really interesting topic, right? Because we don't know how much he's been practicing recently, but I think he's played the most champions professionally out of any other person on the planet.
Exactly. I mean, this guy is the consummate professional. He's such a grinder. He's been back from his injury quite some time, so you have to give him that respect that he can play everything. It is going to be such a focus down towards bot lane, though, now, as T1 are the ones blinding their bot lane. They're going to be banning away the Varus, the Ashe, 2 of those really highly prized picks. Crisp has been playing more of the enchanters, though. He's moved towards things like Lux and Heimer when Renata was gone, so I'm going to be interested to see where he actually takes us. I'm
also really big fan of the bans here from Weibo, because we now have, I think, Owner's best champions all gone. The Rel and the J4 are at the front, but his Sejuani also was quite strong, and taking that away might put Owner in a tough situation, and he has been the player that improved so much throughout, or rather from summer to the World Championship. Putting him in a difficult position. Could be a big win, as it is the Ahri for Faker.
So Faker's Ahri coming out, and that does immediately make you think, could it be a Vi as that last pick? You know, the Vi-Ahri pairing has been so popular throughout the year. There's also an angle to play like a Poppy or something like that if we get more dash-style champions coming out from Weibo. But it's going to be Senna TK just trying to neutralize this bottom lane here. And we'll see how well it's going to do.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about as well. The fact that Light and Crisp can go back to this style, we've seen already that they can play it to great effect. We'll see what the answer is going to be, though. Hard engage into the Tahm Kench is something that can be a little bit difficult if it is single target. So maybe not the Vi here, and maybe it could be the Poppy for Owner. We'll see where he decides to go.
I feel like Wukong could actually be a pretty good answer.
Oh,
Lee Sin!
Okay. All right. Well, that is definitely a choice you can make in game number 1. Of course, this is Owner's most famous champion by a country mile.
And something that for T1 was a really big surprise for me was that when you look at the way that they beat JDG, it wasn't just with these style of comps. They actually opted into more team fighting. This time around, though, this comp needs to win in the early game. Faker and Owner, Guma and Carrier, they need to start stacking dragons. They need to get ahead early, because if you get to the mid to late game, look at the front to back on Weibo, right? This is a composition that's really hard to engage into, and if T1 ever lose map control, trying to get onto Maokai, trying to take down individual targets against the Kench is going to be extremely difficult.
And when you're second to those objectives with Maokai saplings in every brush, you're going to be getting poked out by the Jace, which could be difficult, but both teams lacking a little bit as far as the hard starting gauge goes, but T1 does have the ability to pick people off, you know, with the Lee Sin, with the Yone, with the Ahri. They want to be moving around the map. They want to be pushing out lanes, catching people in transitions, taking these skirmishes as often as they can, and we are just moments away from getting onto the Rift.
Exactly. Game number 1 is upon us. Of course, T1, a lot of finesse possibilities with a composition like this, but I look at Weibo's draft, and I think we've seen these styles of draft so many times in the past, staying tried and true as we head onto the Rift for our very first game. T1 coming out swinging, and Weibo, I think, ready to pick up that punch. See exactly how it is going to go. Worlds 2023, game number 1. Let's do it.
And already, I've got to point out, it's triple TP for Weibo. Crisp is going to be taking the TP on that Tahm Kench, so feeling that they can't necessarily get pressured heavily enough to actually get killed. If he feels he's going to get chunked out, hey, you TP back early. You know, you keep up that farm as much as you possibly can, but it's going to give you the advantage in playing that map because they will have that extra teleport come mid and late game.
Another thing here is, what is the level 1 going to be? I think that one of the other really underrated parts of the Senna Kench is how strong their level 1 is.
Exactly right, but just a reminder to connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. And if you haven't done it already, my goodness, I mean, just do it. Just do it now. That'd be fantastic.
It's a really good emote.
Yeah.
And you saw there as well, no opportunity, unfortunately, for Weibo to use it, at least for now, although Late Invade might come through. But I do think that the level 1 of Weibo is so strong, and they're clearly expecting this. So T1, I think, very smart not to opt into this and take the risk in game 1 of the finals.
And they were pretty good at utilizing Tahm Kench in that level 1 play, if we remember back to it as well. So certainly no shenanigans this time around. And I think in a game number 1, that is a good idea. Faker on his 4th unique champion here for Worlds in game number 1 of the final. But of course, Ahri is one that he's been famous for many years.
And I think there's going to be so many eyes on the mid lane because Xiaohu has not been performing to the level that people were hoping for from him. You know, he hasn't been having that incredible tournament, but now here in his first ever World Finals, he's got to step up if it's going to be Weibo win.
Exactly. Well, Piercing Darkness coming through there from Light. Not too much, just a little bit of a tussle, a little bit of checking each other on the bottom side of the map. As Faker now trying to push forward, Xiaohu just having an okay time here as the Jace into the Ahri.
And we'll see if we're going to see, and rather where we're going to see the early jungle attention. Because I think for T1, obviously, self-explanatory, Dragons and Heralds are incredibly important to pick up early. But there is an opportunity to try and go for these aggressive plays. I think Weiwei in particular has been really good about consistently finding bot line angles. Although he is currently pathing towards bot. We'll see how T1 can cover for Zeus, because he is already shoving in. And if you can get an early kill on the Yone, it can really send him behind.
Well, an Owner's going to use this to invade, right? He's going to win this duel against Weiwei, so he's just going to try to get right in his face, push him out. He knows he has that pushing top lane, and we'll see how this fight does go.
Yeah, nice little sidestep there to avoid the Sonic Wave. Weiwei just making sure that he can keep that health bar high. Has actually popped a potion there as well. It's the sapling in the brush. His Owner's just looking to try and wreak havoc.
But look at Zeus. Zeus is already moving down. That's why he starts the camp now, because Zeus got the push in. He's going to come down, so Weiwei's going to have to back off. He could look for the 50-50, but he risks putting himself in danger. So it should be Owner grabbing the Wolf, and they can continue this pressure on. You can look towards mid now as Xiaohu's in trouble.
Yeah, Owner immediately moves over. There's the flash. Q's going to land from Owner, but he decides to not go in under the inner turret, and Xiaohu looks to try and fire back.
This is just great stuff early on here from T1. Owner, 3 camps top, moves into the enemy jungle to cover Zeus on the push, then uses Zeus' pressure to move down, steal the Wolves, rotates over towards mid where Faker has that, now into a bot side scuttle. This is really clean, really well pre-planned play here from T1.
And I'm going to be looking towards how are the junglers able to punish the lack of flashes.
W as Faker gets the charm. He stomps it to the skies, but I don't think it's going to be enough because his flash is already down. And first blood goes to Xiaohu.
And I haven't even finished my sentence, or Weiwei does that exact thing. Punishes Faker for being that far up in the lane. And all they gave up for it was a wolf camp.
And we said Xiaohu had to have a good series, had to have a good game. And what better start than a first blood on the Spring King from the LPL in his first World Finals.
And you mentioned it already, Chronicler. Xiaohu is a guy that's had a lot of attention from a lot of fans, and already starting to silence some of those doubts. But it is very, very early days in this one as we check out the replay. Really good pathing here from Weiwei.
Yeah, this is just great from Weiwei. It just wraps around, did skip that topside scuttle, and I think Faker potentially thought he was actually over on it. Just comes right down, pass immediately there, is not going to be able to get out as Faker committed the flash for that trade earlier on Xiaohu.
And if you think back to the spring final, or summer finals rather, that T1 wasn't able to win, it was in large part because Genji identified if you get Faker off of some of his comfort champions and you put him down early by a lot of repeated jungle attention, it can be a viable way to get an early to mid-game lead against T1. And we've seen that they can struggle in that situation. And particularly with draft like this, you need to win. You can't try and kind of go through the middle, maybe pick up a dragon or two. No, you need to be able to dominate from the get-go.
And Ari Pre-6 is one of those champions that you really can take advantage of. That is why Azir was so key for T1 in their playoff run. And Weiwei, it's interesting to note that it was that first gank in towards mid. He has been so heavily prioritizing these bot side ganks throughout Worlds. In the LPL, it was much more about playing towards the Shy, but at Worlds, it has been about playing towards Chris, playing towards Light. And I really wanted to see what his game plan was going to be coming into Worlds, because clearly T1 would be prepped for that.
Well, and they're going to clear out some vision. As you can see, Control Ward in the Drake pit. First one going to be a Chemtech Drake. And Ona is going to very happily join Keria as they look to take this one down. So at about 6 minutes into the game, we will have our very first dragon. Faker coming on over, not going to be able to steal anything away, just getting some information here for T1. So they will be able to secure this dragon. So that is one of the steps that they have taken here. Still, they're going to need those big advantages like you guys were talking about in order to make this one work. Looking here towards the bottom side, Gumayusi has a huge advantage over the Tahm Kench, but something that you would expect. It's not necessarily a lane you can really judge on CS.
I mean, you can see it in both top and bot lane, though. These CS differences, obviously, is the Tahm Kench versus that Kalista, not comparing it with the Senna. But both top and bot, significant CS advantages already here for T1. Mid, slightly favored towards Faker despite the death. They are out-farming their opponents, and that's why they're still up this slight amount of gold despite giving up that first blood.
And this is something Weibo was also able to do. The Shy, specifically against Bin, was able to use the fact that the matchup was isolated to push really heavily for big CS leads and then take those leads into mid-game fights and carry them.
And when we talk about comps that are relying on these early game advantages, one of the ways you can do it is just by stacking dragons. You're playing Kalista, you're going to have bot side pressure. Even if you can't establish a massive gold lead, if you take these early dragons and put the pressure of that soul on your opponents, you circumvent a lot of the weaknesses in hard engage that your composition has. You draw your opponents to you, you force them to challenge you at these dragons where you are going to be set up for that fight, where you are going to be in the advantage.
Well, right now, it is just a bit of trading in lanes. Weiwei going to go home, collect himself a book and a Control Ward, try to get back to it as Crisp, the tongue lash. It hurts a whole lot more, I feel like, when you've got him sitting in a lane by himself for quite some time, but he's actually still just level 5, same as everybody else. And Gumayusi still playing aggressively, not able to land too many of these pierces, as Zeus' soul is relatively unbound as he just keeps shoving these waves relentlessly into the Shy's turret. First plate has gone down already here for T1, like you were mentioning, as they are playing into the advantages in gold that is now ticked up to about 500.
And my expectation is that T1 is going to use this top lane prio to secure Herald without too much difficulty. Faker almost will have his flash available. Xiaohu already has his. But with this Aatrox being perma-pushed in, it should make the setup for T1 around this objective pretty easy. And they have also already rotated over Gumayusi and Keria. So they're going to secure this. Then my question becomes, where are they going to throw it down? Because the two obvious solutions to me would be either Zeus or Guma. Obviously, Guma already massively far ahead, but a Yone in a side lane, I think, is one of the biggest things that Weibo might not be able to answer.
I agree completely. I think it should go towards Zeus. He already has the push. This is one of these hyper-scaling top laners that he already has the early push. You can harass those towers, harass the Aatrox with the Soul Unbound, and you get him that big gold lead. This guy can make miracles happen in a 5v5. Zeus has been simply incredible throughout the World Championship.
Certainly has. And now Faker is going to dash in, finds the charm onto the Tahm Kench. Faker has to get out of there, though. Can't be snared for the hostile takeover. Gets so much work done. The Devour's in for the kills there. For Ona, Xiaohu now going down low as Faker dashes forward once again. But it looks like they'll have to settle for one and a Herald.
And Weibo, they see that T1 is at the Herald. They rotate over, and I think they try to recuperate. But that's sunken cost fallacy because they just walk up. T1 finds the angle, and Weibo give up the Herald and a kill.
Exactly, and maybe going to lose some farm down on bot side as well, because Chris has no TP, but Zeus.
Nature's Grasp comes in, he gets pulled back, back. He's interrupted from the ultimate. Zeus does get a knock up there and a shield, but I think he's still dead. And there it is, the answering kill from the Shy.
Weibo able to punch back on the top side. You can see Owner hanging around that bottom side, potentially threatening, as Guma and Carrier are going to push it in. Already have taken a plate themselves down there, but great kill back on the top side. Does help to equalize the gold there for the Shy.
Yeah, gold now actually completely fine. The Shy might even be able to pick up plate as well. And crucially, Zeus doesn't have TP, so actually is going to lose out on this wave. Unlike Faker when he was ganked earlier, could just TP back to the lane. Not going to be the case here. And that's the second time that Weibo, the initial play might not work, but Weiwei pulls it back.
Exactly. And Zeus just couldn't use that ultimate quite fast enough, you know, so Weiwei was able to get ahead of him, blocks the ulti, and then from that point, Zeus says, you know what, I'm dead either way, so I'm going to hold on to the flash, but that is an unfortunate death for him, as he had so much pressure on topside, so much tempo, and a lot of that is going to be lost now, but not lost in the mid lane, where Faker has continued to push in, continued this relentless aggression here, despite being that first death.
Yep. Even though he did fall down first up, Faker is pretty good at bouncing back from initial deaths. The global taunt that he's had for the last 10 years seems to be the thing.
The most ganked man of all time.
I think it's probably true, but also he's played like the most games out of anyone else that still plays currently. So it's a weird stat to go towards. Bottom side of the map, we do see a reset coming through here for Gumushi and Carrier. Not quite towards the first item yet for the Kalista, which would be pretty important for the next fight coming up. We'll see what they can get for themselves.
Yeah, you see as well already, Weibo is moving up. The second Drake, I think, is really pivotal. There are a lot of good Drakes still available for T1. No Chemtech Dragon in particular.
We know exactly what Drake it's going to be. It's T1.
It's Cloud.
It's got to be the Cloud. They've got the most Clouds out of any other team at Worlds.
You don't want him to have Cloud Soul, particularly not with the amount of ability on the team. So I think that Weibo is going to try and contest here. But T1 still are the ones with control of their pot side. Prio is now being found by Light and Crisp. Herald being placed down just in mid lane to try and pressure Weibo out and get a quick move into the river.
It's going to mean that that dragon should belong to T1 if they can get control with it. Faker sticking around for the cash. And we'll be able to gather it here. Orb of Deception going to go wide, and it looks like Faker's not going to stick around for another plate. As Weiwei gone for a reset, they're going to give up the second Drake as well.
Yeah, I think there's just no real angle for them to contest from this point. Owner drops the Herald mid, they get Prio there, they reestablish Prio down on that bot side, move up through the river. And with Carrier and Guma at such a strong point early on in the game, it is going to be Cloud Soul.
Yeah, it's not a question mark. I did tell you. I informed you. I didn't pose a question.
Well, Atlas, I always want to believe that you're right about dragons. And in case of Clouds, I gotta say, you often are.
Yeah. And do you know who was actually the one that told me that my love of Clouds was actually okay? It was Azael. As Crisp is taking some damage here towards the bottom side. It's all right.
I've always been a Cloud believer.
Yeah.
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 Move speed turns out pretty good.
Uh-huh. It's a pretty good stat. And Zeus not going to... he's actually going to utilize some move speed to move out of the Infernal Chains. Look at
nice
that.
Transition.
Proving your point immediately, Azael. You love to see it. Owner is here, though. It's going to be a 2v2. Zeus taking a bit of damage as the Q comes down. There's the ulti. Nature's Grasp, but look at the knockups, the kickback. Weiwei punches him out of it. Oh! Dawning Shadow flies through to help get the kill onto Zeus. It looked good for T1, and Weibo struck back.
And Light saves the play. T1 make the call before Zeus has back to all in on specifically the Maokai. Just finished his demonic embrace. Weiwei is able to stay alive. Light keeps him there, and a big win for Weibo.
They thought they could punish the missing flash that had been spent as Carrier looking for an angle, won't find it. They wanted to be able to burst him down. Faker.
Yeah,
maybe
Everfrost has come through. Foxfire coming down, but they do have to invest the ultimate. Faker now not going to have that for the next play, and that's what Xiaohu wanted.
We'll look to see now. The Shy getting more and more ahead now in that top lane. You know, has taken a couple plates, does have the kill and the assist. Gore Drinker completed, tier 2 boots done. Zeus with that big farm lead is still keeping things relatively even, but both those scraps on the top side have gone Weibo's way.
And again, Weiwei to me has been the crucial factor here. 100% kill participation thus far, able to make sure that T1 doesn't get that momentum. Now, I don't think that T1, particularly with the dragon stacking, is necessarily in grave danger, but this means that the gold stays on parity, that Weibo still gets to scale into that mid to late game, where it can be incredibly impressive to enter, as the Shy might be getting ganked.
Yeah, Carrier's going to move on up here as Zeus is going to break those chains. Carrier's looking for that handshake angle as already the Shy's done a fair bit of damage, but I don't think it is going to be enough as it's Alco Gaming for the Shy, and he will go down. Ona grabs that kill.
Owner, nice kill on the top side. If 2 doesn't work, bring 3. Bring another guy. Carry it on the roam up towards top side. Wasn't really expected, I think, to be up there. The Shy thought he was going to be safe, but now dying there with no TP does mean there's going to be a pretty big push. You can see Guma. Of course, you have to compare that with Crisp's goal.
Oh, brings him back in with a twisted advance. The kickback as well as Weiwei gets out the punch, and now Xiaohu coming on in. Owner's going to burn down, and no bailout for you. Light's in a bit of trouble, but the charm is not going to get it done because Crisp is there with the denial with the Devour, and T1 have to run away. What a play from Weibo.
And continuously, they are getting out skirmished. Weiwei should be able to get the execute here. So nothing given up. And Weibo walk away victorious again.
Weiwei has just had such an incredible journey as a player. You know, this guy first starting on V5, came in with them, played with BLG, and since joining, Weibo has made such a difference with this team, has really transformed the team, has such good pressure in the early stages, and him getting going early always spells good things for this team.
Certainly does. Let's have a look at the play one more time.
And as we look here, initially it looks like T1 wants to back up, but Weiwei goes very far back, but then crucially barely stays alive, right? And with him getting away, there is no bailout value for Owner, and the fact that Faker TP's in doesn't matter because Crisp is standing at the ready with Devour.
Yeah, Crisp is there, and Light with some nice little side steps. Don't think the charm would have mattered even if it landed because Crisp was right behind him, but well played on the sidestep nonetheless. T1, though, continually going towards these objectives. They know they need to keep pushing the pace, and Weibo here looking to challenge.
And nice shock blast is going to soften up T1 just a little bit here. 4 versus 3 in this moment, but Faker's wrapping around from the top side of the fight. The Shy pretty far away from this one. And Zeus is moving in, gets over the wall. There's the ult. It's going to be dodged as he gets himself out of there with the Unbound Soul. And T1, they are going to be able to secure the Herald.
Forces the flash from Light, and they get the Herald. Really nicely done from T1. That is what has been going their way all game long.
And now I'm wondering, can T1 also get themselves to this Dragon in time? I think they just have enough time to still get the backs in, make their way, spend their money, and then try and set up this soul point very early on. Because while when it comes to gold, Weibo has been able to stay very relevant, if T1 pick this up, they will have gotten every single objective thus far, and it will at the very least force Weibo to maybe make some tough decisions once Zeus in the sideline becomes hard to deal with, because I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going for Hullbreaker again.
And this is such an early soul point that they will be moving to. Their third dragon here taken, if they can get it, around 17 and a half minutes into the game. You know, threatening that 22, 23 minute soul would be a really tough spot here for Weibo. So they have to get mid lane control. They have to be able to push this out, then move into the river. They want to be first to the scene. You can see Weiwei trying to keep these saplings down and harass T1 as they try to move in. But in the bot lane, it's Zeus with the push there. And if he can get Pryo down in that bot side, they can potentially set up a flank from multiple angles.
Yep, Owner should be able to put the Herald down here as well to help them get that mid control, get towards that dragon. But you can see Weibo don't want to give up the river right now. Weiwei just standing stalwart. The Shy is going to turn up. Charm is going to connect, but Faker probably not wanting to go in on that one. You're going to connect from Owner and T1, just keeping up this pressure, allowing Weibo to move into that river, knowing they have Zeus very close to that bottom wave to keep pressure in the lane.
Exactly, Zeus threatened moving up. He went, just did the Gromp. Now he's down back towards that bottom lane, pushing that out. So forcing the response from the Shy. T1 are happy in this stalemate position right now. They still have the Herald to work with, so if Weibo overcommit towards the Dragon, they can just drop Herald mid and guarantee that tier 1.
Carrier is going to miss the handshake, but the Q's going to land from Owner. Weiwei could avoid it with the twisted advance. Owner not going to go in as the Everfrost, it gets the Devour. Gumayushi getting himself out of there and utilizing his ultimate to save Carrier as well, but that is so many cooldowns, and now Weibo have started up the Drake.
Weibo might be looking to go for it. They've also used a number of cooldowns themselves, most notably the Shy and Weiwei's ultimate. We'll see if T1 tries to go for an alternative play, just push mid, but it looks like Weibo isn't even going to give them the opportunity as Owner!
Oh, there's the kick flash. Xiaohu's going to be pushed into Faker the flash forward, but the charm is going to miss. What? The Pierce doesn't land, and Xiaohu just walks it off. No worries there at all as Crisp is under the turret. They throw down Herald, but Zeus is found too with the ultimate light. Goes down so low, but isn't going to survive. Weiwei trying to get himself out of there, and the Shy is given.
Ang meetings,
Nice! Burger steak!
make it Christmas.
Zim coming in with the hostile takeover at T1. They're on the Baron.
And it's Renata that does it again. Keria standing at the ready, keeps Guma alive throughout all of it. And T1, the goal before this was even Weibo picked up the Dragon, but after this fight, multiple kills going over the T1. Baron secured. And it looks like the first grade might have been broken open. The early game comp getting it done.
And here is the replay. We'll see how it all started. It looked like a pick on Gumayushi.
It did, but it just took them so long to actually get to him. You can see everyone from T1 is coming as fast as they possibly can. And all the time that was bought here by Guma allows them to arrive, allows the hostile takeover here, hitting across multiple members. Light is forced to even flash out, just trying to avoid it, but Owner knocks him down. Guma dances out, using that ultimate with Keria's help to peel him off.
And we're seeing one of the big issues with the Senna is that if you're playing a front to back, Senna feels almost impossible to deal with. Particularly with Kench, it's really hard to take people down, to get through the front line. The kiteback's amazing, but if you get caught, particularly by something like a Lee, you don't get to play the game.
And also, they weren't playing front-to-back League of Legends. It was a split fight entirely, with the fact that the Shy goes in, is in the middle, and it felt fantastic, right? It was a bit of a split there from Weibo with their decision-making moving forward. It could mean that they could adjust that moving into the next team fight and really show what this composition can do.
And the tough thing for Weibo is it felt like so many things did go well for them in the early stages. Those skirmishes were working for them, but when T1 hit way harder. And they have gotten so much out of these last couple plays. They're going to try to take a tier 1 top, but Faker's looking for an engaged bot.
Yeah, looking for even more. Everfrost is going to land. Somehow that charm didn't connect, but it is still going to gather a Devour from over the wall. From Crisp, T1 will settle for this inner turret.
And this is where the earlier Drake from Weibo is going to feel like a miracle in the sky, right? If they didn't have that, would be just a soul point in addition to all the turrets that are there for T1. Now, sure, they're not going to have the soul in its thing. My main issue is, particularly with Zeus now completely back in the game and sitting on a pretty ludicrous gold advantage. 3K in the sideline is going to be untouched.
I mean, even in the team fight, he just finished an IE. He's got 3 full items now. The Shy just finishes Derek's second. And when you have the IE in, you can talk about not wanting team fight with a Hullbreaker, but when you got an IE and a Kraken, you can one-hit the back. Line. This becomes incredibly hard to actually fight against this guy. So if T1 can execute on those 5v his
Uy, anong meron? Hindi ko alam, sikat daw! New phone this Christmas? Christmas gift para kay tatay? Bagong ref para kay
It has to be someone else, because killing Zeus when he has Flash, Hullbreaker, and IE is going to be such an incredibly difficult task. But then look at what the rest of T1 is doing. No one is actually segmenting. No one is actually in tandem.
Exactly. You know you win the 4v4 and you win the 1v1, so as long as you have eyes on Weibo, you are chilling. You just have to make sure you're not getting poked out too heavily.
Wait,
it's going to be up to Xiao.
Faker waiting over the wall, wants to land that charm to start this fight potentially, but no. Weibo just back away, not wanting to take a fight unless it is far more within their favor and with more information. And that is a very difficult thing to gather here in this game. You talk about saplings, things like that, all these opportunities. If you can't walk out of your base, they don't do a whole lot of good.
It does get very difficult. At the very least, you can use that to clear out brushes, to move forward, try to reclaim some vision, as they're going to do now. Knowing that T1 is on the reset, they will try to deny some of this vision, but the death cap is going to be here soon for Faker. You can see Wit's End going to be pretty soon as well for Guma. These third items are going to be coming through when the GA comes in for Owner as well. T1 are just trying to get as prepared as possible for the Soul or for this Baron, where they are really going to look to dominate.
And really nicely done, shown by our observers here, is how little Weibo know. Well, obviously they have a suspicion that T1 is going to be somewhere in the jungle and they can scout with saplings, but actually retaking control becomes incredibly difficult. And right now, it's still fine, but in 40 seconds, the Baron is coming up and Weibo will be faced with one of two choices. Either you just try to hard force your way in and like flash engage with Weiwei onto someone of T1, but if they don't give you that opportunity, you're gonna have to try and fight up a straight fight.
And one of the biggest problems with that is when you're approaching Baron from blue side, you're setting up for a perfect carry ultimate, right? You know, you all try to flash in, try to go for that engage. If you're trying to follow up on Weiwei's play, there's gonna be a hostile takeover coming through your entire team. So the difficulty is extremely high for Weibo from this position.
Also really difficult to lock down Zeus is if he's only trading with that Unbound Soul available. You can see Xiaohu comes down. That gives T1 the idea. If there are two invested towards that bottom side, that pressure from Zeus pretty clearly illustrated in that moment.
And look at the item spikes. Wits End done for Guma. No death cap for Faker. GA for Owner. And on Weibo's side, 2 item power spikes have been hit, but don't know if that's going to be enough. Xiaohu, though, does have his Cyrildas done. Maybe that can give them the poke they need to contest this Baron, but it looks like it just isn't sticking.
I mean, it feels like it's just basically all up to Xiaohu from this position. He needs to be able to hit Shock Blast on key members that can give up.
Shock Blast connects onto Faker there as well. He's still going to look for that reset angle, and now Weibo here in game 1 of the finals. Owner still has that GA. Owner still has that GA. Remember, Chris going down so incredibly low. Zeus just executes the Chai up to the side, and there is another one. This guy's Yone is just absurd. And the inhibitor's going to go down. Weiwei is burning there as well, as now Xiaohu tries to be the hero, but it does not work out, and I think T1 are just going to end game 1 here.
And the early game, T1 not able to get a bunch of crucial kills, but they don't let it phase them. They are able to find the one skirmish they're looking for, take the Baron, and from that point on, Weibo doesn't get to fight back.
And now 1-0 here in the World Final. T1 on the red side as well, going to be able to walk away victorious. It was an early game composition and it was executed very well, but I felt like there were angles for Weibo to go back and try and retcon and figure it out for game 2.
I mean, it's tough, right? Weibo did win out in a lot of those early game skirmishes. They were getting the kills, but T1 played an immaculate objective game. And let's face it, they were winning in isolation all 3 lanes, and that is such a problem. Even though Weiwei was making these ganks happen and they were getting some kills, it always felt like it was T1 with the push in the lanes, with the turret plates that they're taking, with every single objective.
And I thought the game might have stabilized to the point where Weibo could go and try and get to that late game. But then the moment that that fight in the T1 jungle happened, when they tried to collapse on Guma, they just didn't seemingly have the tools. And I think that outside of Weiwei, it is actually hard to lock down a target and that turned into the Baron, and from that point the game was done.
And I have to give so much credit to Zeus in this game. Was incredible in the isolated 1v1. Yes, he fell down to a couple ganks, but coming back from that position, he was a monster in the team fights.
Not to mention the fact that he was still up in CS even after getting caught in a few of these ganks as well. But a pretty exciting game number 1. It is time to throw it over to the post-match and see what the desk had to say about that first game.
Well, thank you so much, Atlas. I will agree with you, and I think we all will, in terms of how exciting the beginning of that game was, how back and forth, and to me, how T1 very often tried to get that kill, but Weibo was sharper in the beginning. I mean, a great start to the series overall, but what were the biggest takeaways, maybe the biggest surprises straight off the bat in game 1 that you had not expected?
I mean, I kind of want to start with draft because we're like, are we going to attack the mid lane pool? I feel like people had cited that Gen G did so in their finals against T1. We saw the Nico and Ori bans coming out of T1 and then the Azir Sylas bans coming out of Weibo right off the bat in this draft. I actually thought this draft from Weibo was a really good answer to what T1 liked to do in the game, and even with the Senna TK locked in, it kind of set back, like they couldn't do the same really aggressive level 1s that they want to do around some of these pushing bot lanes.
With this Halo Blades Azir, and it's worked out very well for them, where they're able to take down the Orianna, and Azir has been a fantastic pick for Faker. So I'm kind of surprised to see them opt into both the Ori and the Nico ban, trying to target Xiaohu, because it only pushed him onto what has been his comfort. AD champions have looked fantastic for Xiaohu over the course of summer, and he actually looked really good in this game, even if he couldn't get it across the finish line.
He did, right? And we were talking so much about how that would be a huge win con for Weibo. In the top lane, though, you called it. You want to take your page out again?
Is Zeus the counter pick that he has already shown into the Aatrox? Yeah, I feel like a lot of risks were taken by Weibo in this, playing the denial bottom lane, giving T1 what they want, the Kalista Renata to play, and then allowing the counter pick that Zeus already showed, and the impact that he had with this Yone, the ability to carry here, the dragon fight towards the bottom, then towards the late game. Don't even have to say. But it was massive when we talk about quality over quantity for them. But I have to say, if you're talking about biggest thing takeaway, and we're looking at some of the early plays here, Owner's Lee Sin got locked in. He's like, he was 45 and 10 before this. Now he's 46 and 10 on it. But my goodness, Owner has just been so good this tournament.
He has, and especially Lee Sin is such a confidence pick, right? That you want to go off on.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, like, in T1's draft, right? This is a draft that I think a lot of people, especially in spring, would criticize them for a little bit, just because it is like, we are better than you mechanically. Like, Owner is so comfortable on this Lee Sin. Zeus is so comfortable on this Yone, and they're like, we can just flat out beat you with these. I did actually think both junglers performed really well in terms of like tracking each other early, responding to each other early. We talked about Weiwei as kind of when Xiaohu has been struggling in this tournament a little bit, it has been Weiwei who's been the most stable player on this Weibo team.
And especially when he got set behind early, get the invade, get this play into mid, but Weiwei responds super well by immediately wrapping around, burning his own flash because he knows that Faker's flash is down. And you think at the moment, oh, well, he probably should be going into his top side, trying to go for a scuttle crab, trying to match the fact that some of his camps have already been stolen away, but it's a great response from Weiwei. And again, on this top side, helping out the Shy, just setting up perfectly, even walking in front of the ultimate there from the Yone to prevent Zeus from actually getting away. Weiwei did a really good job of controlling the early game for Weibo and making sure T1 couldn't run away with us.
Phenomenal job indeed. It was interesting because it wasn't that much about the bot lane in the beginning as we anticipated it might be. Weiwei really good at counter punching whenever Owner pushed early, but I think then when you go into the mid game and some of these engages you see where T1 really wants to get it going.
And guess what? You want to see how important these junglers are for their team? 100% kill participation on both
That's pretty good.
sides. I think the big thing I do want to point out in terms of when owners look comfortable, right? Like every jungler, Kobe, you know this, if your lanes are pushing, it feels really good because you just have so many options. And then here, we see this is such a signature pick for Owner, and even though Xiaohu escapes, they talked about on cast how a lot of these fights ended up being split up, so then you have stuff like the Yone that can then just come in and do so well on his own in these split fights.
Yeah, Zeus is able to cut them off, even though they get the Dragon with the 3-person engage there. And as you said, they chased everybody else off of the top side of that fight so that they could then collapse, and Owner get to pick up the extra kills here. I mean, it's made even more important because of, like we talked about, how rough Owner's summer was.
Yeah.
He's really been a linchpin for this team, and this game one from T1, you know they like to snowball.
Yeah.
They're going to play these snowball compositions. They get a bunch of these early objectives, but how do you stop them?
It's crazy. Maybe we know in the second game, Weibo is going to stay on the blue side, of course, also what they selected for game one. But it wasn't really a draft issue, was it, Dagda?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was more down to an execution. Now, I think you did have advantages for T when it came to, hey, we do have, as Emily was already pointing out, a bunch of pushing lanes. So, hey, when we come to first Rift Tower, we have the Kalista and the Renata that get pushed. We have the level 6 that hits first because Light is trying to catch some XP from the jungle. So they use that level 6 advantage to get the early Rift Towers and start to get that gold lead kind of ballooning. But it was decisions from Weibo to say, hey, we want to try and commit to that. We want to try and make these fights happen that end up coming back to bite them later on then.
But a very, very good game out of T1 to kick us off here in Seoul at the World Final. And Riot's annual charity voting campaign is going on right now. Each year, the Riot Games Social Impact Fund selects 84 nonprofits that are leading impactful and meaningful work in 28 regions. Through November 30th, players can log in and vote to help direct over $4.5 million in nonprofit grants. Scan the QR code below to place your vote. Each player only gets one vote, so make sure to make it count. We'll be right back with Game 2.
Fake has to get out of there though, can't be snared for the hostile takeover. Gets so much work done, the Devour's in for the kills there. Nature's Grasp comes in, he gets pulled back, he's interrupted from the ultimate. Zeus does get a knock up there and a shield, but I think he's still dead. And there it is, the answering kill from the Shy. No worries there at all as Crisp is under the turret. They throw down Errol, but Zeus has found 2 with the ultimate light. Goes down so low, but isn't going to survive. Wei trying to get himself out of there, and the Shy is given up on. Nature's Grasp flying forward. Owner still has that GA. Remember, Crisp going down so incredibly low. Zeus just executes the Shy off to the side, and there is another one. This guy's Yone is just absurd.
Something dark clings to me. Has always lived in me. I see destruction and despair. You brought it to light, Jin. Good, evil, the line blurs. I keep spiraling down paths I never thought I'd walk. There is light in me. I can't lose sight of it. And the colors come flooding back. Open your eyes. Every question, every burden, every vision, I'll lay them out here. Art, life, death, all I've seen, all made clear.
When people think about esports, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Players, obviously, but there's so much more.